Junction City Council meeting to order. Invocation will be led by Vice Mayor Wilson and the pledge by Councilmember Struble.
Heavenly Father, we are again gathered together this cool evening to perform city business. Please be with us and guide us and our staff as we continue to maintain this community to be a great place to visit, live, work, and raise a family. We ask for your hand of support and comfort for two of our community members, for the family and friends of former Mayor Johnny Ancelacco with the passing of his brother Tony Ancelacco, and for the family and friends of Kathy Conley with the passing of her father. We also would like to include the Bush family and all the friends of George H.W. Bush. Please be with them as they celebrate their lives. Help them in their time of grief and remember the good times. We also ask for your protective hands for all our military members, their families, wherever they are serving throughout the world. Keep them all safe and return home at the end of the day. We also extend this to our first responders of our community. Keep them all in the safe as they continue to protect us and our belongings. Bring them home each day at the end of their shift. In the Lord's name, amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mayor Surtee,
Here.
Vice Mayor Wilson,
Here.
Councilmember Barker. Councilmember Barker will not be here this evening, Your Honor. Councilmember Evans.
Here.
Councilmember Rizzi.
Present.
Councilmember Struble.
Here.
Councilmember Waldron.
Here.
6 members present. You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Do we have a motion on the consent agenda?
Your Honor, I move that the consent agenda be accepted as presented and that the employment agreement with presiding magistrate James Hazel for the period beginning July 1st, 2019 and ending June 30th, 2021 be approved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Rizzi.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Councilmember Struble.
Yes.
Councilmember Evans.
Yes.
Councilmember Waldron.
Yes.
Mayor Surtee.
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Recognition by City Council of individuals and/or organizations who have made donations to support city activities, programs, and projects. This will be the first time for Fox to present. The man in black.
Mayor, members of the council, my name is Fox Young. I'm with Development Services, and I'm here on behalf of the Friends of Apache Junction tonight to speak about their mission and the donors who have so graciously donated to the city to support the programs and departments of the city. The mission of the Friends is to support the community and improve the quality of life for residents by securing resources for city departments and programs. This fiscal year alone, people have donated over $260,000 to the city, so that's quite an impressive sum of money. Those donors have given to in this fourth quarter, the Police DARE program, the Parks and Recreation Department, and the Paws and Claws Care Center. And I'm going to read a list of individuals and organizations that have donated. If we could all keep our applause till the very end, it'll make it easier. The Police DARE program, the main donors for this fourth quarter were the Safe Schools Youth Program, the Horizon Health and Wellness. The Parks and Recreation donor made a great contribution, the Arizona Early Day Gas Engine and Tractor Association. And the Paws and Claws, last but not least, had several donors. The Prim and Proper Pet Sitting in conjunction with the Mountain Bridge community, Henry and Mary Jo Doylis, Debbie Toller, Jackie Overson, Debbie Robertson, and Jean and Edith Berry. And if you all would join me in just thanking them in a quick round of applause for the wonderful donations. At this point, I would like to invite everybody to come up, get their pictures taken with the mayor, and I will turn it over to Mr. Al Bravo, Public Information Officer for the City of Apache Junction, to get that. Al, you're here. Well, there you are. All right. We have the, I can't go back. Pamela Neal. Yes. Nice to meet you. And we have somebody from the early day guest tractor. Rebecca.
That is rather purpley. I
feel like I'm photobombing. There's no place to go.
Are, sir. Timothy. More? More?
Brought with
And call.
So that was everything there, right? Yep. Okay, announcements of current events. Let's start on the left this time. Dave, Krista.
Shop local, it's Christmas.
I just wanted to thank our Parks and Rec Department for putting on a really great parade again this year. The barricades, I heard, worked really well. That was appreciated. There's always great cleanup. The crowd was humongous this year. My goodness, we had so many people. Awesome job. And also, I just wanted to share a couple of good things going on in the community this time of year. We have an annual, our 7th annual toy drive that's benefiting CAFA this year. Local businesses, we've challenged local businesses to collect the most food, clothing, and toys. And there's a rotating plaque for those businesses to win. And so you can look for donation boxes at, you'll see local businesses that say collecting for CAFA. I always, we talk every year about shopping local, and I say it over and over again this year, donating local is just as important. We have great needs here in our community, and it doesn't hurt when you go into our stores that we support all year long to just ask management where the donations may be going and if they are staying here in our community. And I had one more thing that I wanted to share in correlation with the toy drive for CAFA. We have a group here in Apache Junction called AJ Rocks, and these folks paint rocks and they hide them in the community for people to find. And just, sometimes you might be having a little off day and find one of these rocks, and it just brings some cheer to people. Well, we have this wonderful person that's an amazing artist. I don't know if we can scroll to the bottom and see. She has painted a beautiful village on rocks from her yard, a Christmas village that she is she's raffling the entire village to help this toy drive for CAFA. And the tickets are two tickets for $1, and you could win this entire village. Contact information, Wendy Riding on Facebook, or her phone number is 801-830-5682. And I just wanted to thank her for that. Such a beautiful, gracious donation for us to raffle. That's awesome. Thank you.
I have one announcement. This Saturday, the Community Development Corporation we're having another neighborhood cleanup. This one is between the trail and Superstition, and I just forgot the one street, Delaware. We are meeting 7:30 this Saturday morning at the Desert View Chapel Church, right along off of Superstition. It usually, we always say 7:30 to 12. We've had the dumpsters usually filled by 10:30, believe it or not. So this is just one of our older, low-income neighborhoods, and it's helping clean up the yard, the front yard, the backyard, whatever they have in the house, and we have room in the rollouts, we'll take it. So please, we need volunteers. The more the merrier, maybe, if you want to pick up trash, happy. But it does help a lot of people out in the community. So hope I can see some of you there.
Yeah, I want to follow up on Councilmember Rizzi. The Saturday of the Winter Festival, that was amazing, watching all the kids and adults interact with the vendors and listening to music and everything, and watching our staff, the police, Parks and Rec, the roads, everything, everybody involved. And then the pickup afterwards, I was out probably about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and city staff was out there picking up all the barricades and everything, and very commendable. Got everything back into place the way, like nobody even knew what was happening. So commend to them. Liz and I talked, and we decided we were going to use an inaugural address estimate of the crowd, and decided it was probably about 150,000 people attended. So, maybe a little less. I'm not sure. But anyway, we also have this on the 7th and 15th. We have our AJ Open Mic Night at the Horizon Health and Wellness Earth Heart Park. It's over here on Plaza and Superstition. That's a lot of words to say. But it goes from 6 to 9. We have some great young talent that's showing off, and if you have the wherewithal or desire to come out into the cold and see these young people perform. Last time we actually had a gentleman who was 84 that came and did some cowboy poetry, so you never know what you're going to see. And then just put on your calendars for January 27th, 2019, we're going to be holding the 2nd annual AJ Kids Idol at Barlene's Dinner Show. And there again, come out and see our young people, our kindergartners through 12th graders come out and perform their talents. So just put that on your calendars.
I'm going to also say something about his open mic in the aspect, and we attended the last session on it, and it was very enjoyable listening to some of the young talent that are from our community or our area, and what they're doing, and it sounded real good. So definitely come out and enjoy.
Krista says she forgot something.
Yeah, I just wanted to give an update on our Light the Trail holiday lighting competition. We've got more businesses on this year, and if you go around Apache Junction, not just on Apache Trail, but we've got some great decorations out there. This competition it's taking off, and I think next year is going to be bigger and better. Right now, we need to take all the photos that were sent in from the people that are the businesses that are competing. We'll build that survey, and we'll have a link that we send out to the community to vote for your favorite. And we're just really excited to make Apache Junction shine this time of year. And so we'll get that link out as soon as we can get those photos uploaded into the survey. So.
Okay. I want to talk about the Winter Festival also. The parade was awesome, except my favorites, the illuminated goats, weren't in it. So we need to make sure that they're in it from now on. Also heard from some people that still didn't know about it. I think it could be even bigger and better. So Al and Liz, if there's any way we can get the words out to more businesses, I think other people want to put floats in as well. And when I'm out and about and I get asked what does Apache Junction do best, it's our events and our festivals, and this was a perfect example of it, of how we do this. You know, for our size, it's amazing compared to some of the bigger cities. Also, yesterday, the Arizona Winter Visitors Association had their Welcome Back Bash, which is welcoming our winter residents. And it's at Barlene's too. Like I always say, if you've never seen a show there, you've got to go. They can do They do all kind of different types of music, just pick the right show. But it was a good crowd there, and I think the Winter folks are ready to have a good year. And both Chief Kelly and Sheriff Lamb both gave them permission to drive faster, and they all respond. They said they would. So let's bear with them on that. So with that, we'll go to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Your Honor. Bryant Powell, City Manager. I am also very grateful for a tremendous staff effort as we perform and produce and provide a great service to our community, and I thank them for always their tremendous work that they do. It's Herculean effort to do these great events and to make it go so seamless. It's hard, and it takes a lot of practice. I'd also like to provide the community an update on our CLI. We now have 8 people who have signed up. We're a month away.
Explain CLI.
Citizen Leadership Institute. It's an award-winning program that our community is very proud of, and we invite anyone that's a part of our community to call me, our office, Al Bravo, and we will sign you up. We're looking for many more. And what it is a culmination of classes where folks can interact face-to-face with their department directors in their community, with me, with the mayor at the beginning, and then we have different classes, and we go through how is the city, how is it set up, and then we have the different departments come in. So we continue to invite and encourage our residents to participate in this program. It often is the case that from these programs, folks understand a little bit more. Knowledge is power, and it provides that bridge of maybe sometimes intimidation to become part of the answer, as we are the government, and the government is the people. And it provides opportunity for people who are interested in learning about their government to participate in local government and make a difference in the lives of people who we associate with. So I extend that invitation and invite anyone who can hear and know about it to come learn and come learn a little bit. We often get our boards of commission members who then sometimes consider even running for office. Tonight, we're super excited to have here with us a couple members of our community. On the first report we have here is an update and some discussion with Dr. Krista Anderson, Superintendent of the Apache Junction Unified School District. Krista, if you'll come on up. And we're super excited to have her. I know she has a message for us tonight.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Surtee, City Council members, Mr. Powell, and guest. First of all, I wanted to thank you for allowing me to be a part of your meeting tonight to discuss something that's very dear to my heart. It is the children of Apache Junction School District. Specifically, the commitment that we have within the school district for educating the children of this community. The foundation of a strong community is a strong educational system. Think about it. Whenever a society has lacked educational structure, crime, poverty are widespread, people lack the skills and knowledge to succeed and change the direction of their lives, and general health suffers. We at AJUSD want to strengthen the educational system within this community, and we are willing to do whatever it takes to make that happen. It is said that education is the great equalizer. Did you know that the average salary in Arizona for a student for an individual with a high school diploma is $28,000? For a bachelor's degree, it jumps up to $51,000. For a graduate degree, it's $65,000. To further paint the picture of the importance of education within this community, I'd like to share a couple of startling data points. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and Occupational Projections, between now and 2026, 38% of all new jobs will require a bachelor's degree or higher. 52% of all jobs will require a post-high school education. It could include certification, HVAC, welding, some kind of vocational learning. To further break it down, during the recession, there was approximately loss of 2.7 jobs in the manufacturing industry. Since that time, 1.7 million have been recouped. 99% of those jobs have gone to individuals with post-high school education. 1% went to individuals with high school only. The data represents the importance of school district to graduate students with the knowledge and skills that will allow them to further their education through college and university, vocational ed, or even join the armed forces. We have a great partnership with EVIT, which does provide our students an opportunity to walk out with a certificate, a 2-year certificate, walking out of high school. Whatever the student chooses, it is our commitment, my commitment, that we do our due diligence within our classrooms to educate kids in order for them to make their dreams a reality. Understanding the importance of education is the first step. Looking at our reality is step 2. AJUSD has had results not trending in the best direction. Our academic scores are below the state average in every grade level and every content area. We acknowledge that the letter grades at our schools that we received this past October are not acceptable. We received 2 C schools and 3 D schools. We need to do better. You should expect us to do better, and I promise you we will do better. Our schools and administrators, teachers, and staff had developed plans to begin improving student learning results. The plans are focused on improving foundational skills that will benefit our students in the areas of reading, writing, and mathematics. As a district, this past year, we developed a 3-year strategic plan to help guide our work. The plan is broken down into 4 areas. Academic excellence, which is focused on building strong educational programs that ensure that students have the academic knowledge and skills. The second is the culture of continuous improvement. Where we are today should not be where we are tomorrow. We need to continuously look at how we can increase our performance levels. Community engagement. Establish systems that enhance internal-external communication and increase participation and support of offerings from our district. And our 4th is examine and evaluate systems. We need to provide high-quality operations that are essential to running our school district. This plan and the efforts of our staff will go a long way towards our goal of improved student learning. However, we cannot do it alone. We need the city and the community's help. I am here this evening to publicly ask for your support in educating the children of Apache Junction Unified School District. We want you to be a part of the team. At the beginning of the school year, we welcome the staff by challenging them to do whatever it takes to move our students forward academically. To further our commitment to do whatever it takes, we went to every school site and department to ask them to be a part of a unified effort to move the district forward, to be an active member of the AJUSD team. As an acknowledgement of being a member of the team, each staff member received a pin. The pin says, whatever it takes. To represent their commitment to the children of this district, you will see staff members wearing this pin on their badges, maybe on their clothing. Some of them have it pinned in their school, in their classrooms. And they wear it proudly. It is now time for us to ask you to be a part of that team. Are you willing to do whatever it takes to help us educate the children of this district? And if you are committed, I've got a present for you tonight. I have a cold and my voice is about to give out, so I apologize for that. And I also have a contact that causes me to wink at a lot of people. So between those 2 things is we've got certificates for you to be a part of our team, whatever it takes. And we hope that you will wear this pin proudly and know that we are here to help the community and to help the children of this district. We know that children have lots of dreams, and it's our goal and our mission to make those dreams a reality. It's about opening doors for their future, and I hope that you choose to be a part of that team. Thank you. Even Chief probably gets one.
We definitely need one for the city attorney here, and myself. Thank you.
And I'm going to leave you some extra so that you can. Thank you very much. Anyone have any questions or anything before I go?
I just want to say, in the big scheme of things, the sports is not important so much in your life, but I want to commend the football team for the awesome season they had this year. And,
We've had multiple activities with our kids, being it from our athletic teams, our football, our cross-country did outstanding. Many of our athletic teams did outstanding job this spring. And then if you didn't get a chance to see Willy Wonka, there is another play this Thursday night, Santa's Sugar, that is put on by our junior high. Lots of events that are happening in our school district, lots of wonderful things that are going on. And I hope that you choose to be a part of that and show your support by attending those events. Thank you.
And I know the kids are excited because I think Channel 3 is coming out to film Santa's Sugar tomorrow, so we could all get to see a report on it tomorrow night.
Absolutely.
What time, so everyone knows? Is it 9:30 that it's showing? I thought I saw.
Tomorrow
Al, do you
they're
know?
coming
Yep.
out to some of the practice, so it's actually not the full, it might be a run-through of the full play, but it's not an audience, but the play is at 7 p.m. tomorrow, and I think it's 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Set your DVRs or watch, yep.
Yes.
Dr. Anderson, was that Santa Sugar, was that not written by an author here in Gold Canyon?
Yes, there was an author who wrote a children's book called Santa Sugar. Our theater teacher at the junior high somehow got her hands on it, found out it was attached to our community. They then wrote a play from it, and there was a little bit of liberties in there, I know that. I have actually been in the theater classroom to see these kids create the costumes. They're actually sewing machines, sewing. They've built the set, and absolutely 100% incredible what the work that these kids have done. And I look forward to seeing the play on Thursday night.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Anderson, for coming in. Tonight, we also have here with us the president of the Superstition Mountain Historical Society, known as our museum, Vicky McLaughlin. If you could please come up. She is going to introduce our new executive director out at the museum. Vicky.
Good evening, Mayor Surdy and AJ City Council. Thank you for inviting Superstition Mountain Historical Society here tonight. And also good evening to AJ citizens that are here listening to what's happening in our city. I'm sure all of you probably know even more and better than I do that the museum has been a part of AJ and the surrounding community for many years. It was started by 4 individuals who have been citizens here for a long time. And our goal at the museum is, of course, to have all of the citizens in AJ and all of the people that come to visit Arizona come to the museum and learn about the Superstition Mountains and about our legends and lore. And of course, as Dr. Anderson has just stated, educating our children is definitely a goal for the museum. And without saying anything more about the museum, I would like to introduce our new executive director. I'm very proud to introduce her, Annie Vaugier. Please give her a hand.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, and Mr. Powell for having us tonight. We're always excited to represent the Superstition Mountain Historical Society and the Superstition Mountain Museum. Being new in the area, I have come to love the museum, of course, and I'm very privileged to be a part of the rich history that most of you have enjoyed year after year after year. And I'm still learning, but most importantly, I'm looking forward to building professional and personal relationships with people in the community, letting you know tonight that we are committed to supporting our local citizens and our local businesses and our city government and all of the entities that go with making Apache Junction such a wonderful place to live and to work and to represent. So we're open to you. We would certainly love to have you come see the museum if you haven't been out there for a while. We've added some exhibits. We have some events coming up, and please see our website at superstitionmountainmuseum.org, and you'll get all of the dates of all the upcoming events. We'd love to have you be a part, and we certainly look forward to being more involved in what you have to offer for the city. So thank you again.
Thank
We
you.
have- We might want to make some comments.
Oh, yes, sir.
And we're glad that you're here. I want to break some news and get some press on this, but the museum and the Historical Society are both going to be instrumental in an event that's coming up in 2022 with the 100th anniversary of the city's Founders Day. And some of your employees and board members sit on the Focal Point Committee. And so, like I said, we're going to be going to you guys as a resource for this because you know the history, you have the documents of the history. So everybody keep an eye out for that. This is going to be happening in the next few years, and we have to start now to get ready for 2022. So I'm thanking you in advance for all the help that you're going to give.
Oh, it's our pleasure, and we look forward to serving you the best that we can, so we'll help in any area that we can.
Thank you. And Vicky, there's always an open invitation for you guys to come into the city. We would love to have you in the city limits, so.
Someone mentioned you might bring that up, so we'll, we'll certainly entertain that meeting
Okay.
with you. Thank you.
All
much.
right.
Thank you, Your Honor. That concludes our report. Very grateful for Dr. Anderson and Vicky and Annie coming in. Thank you, Your Honor.
Public hearing and consideration of application for temporary extension of premises liquor license for the Elks. Kathy Conley.
Yes, Your Honor, this is a annual request from the Elks on behalf of Paws for Life, which is a local animal rescue group. The event is scheduled for Saturday, January 19th. In your packet, you have comments from the Planning Division, the Police Department, and the Fire District, all of whom are in support of this event. And Cindy Pearson, on behalf of the Elks, is here this evening in the event you have any questions.
Would the applicant want to say anything?
Cindy Pearson with the Apache Junction Elks Lodge. Yeah, this is an annual event. It goes over pretty well. Nothing actually special do we need from the city for it. It's Toonie House's fundraiser, and we supply her with the parking area for it. It's usually a pretty good event.
Any questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Yep.
Any discussion by council?
This is a public hearing.
This is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address this issue? Hearing and seeing none, I will close the public hearing. And I will ask
Your
for a
Honor.
motion.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that the application for a temporary extension of premises liquor license submitted by Elks BPOE number 2349, 2455 North Apache Trail, Apache Junction, Arizona, for the Paws for Life annual car show on Saturday, January 19th, 2019, be recommended for approval to the Arizona Department of Liquor Licenses and Control.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Struble,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzi,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldron,
Yes.
Mayor Surtee,
Yes.
unanimous, Your Honor.
Consideration by those same Elks for the annual Beer and Brats for the Lost Dutchman Days dance. Kathy?
Yes, Your Honor, this is, again, the application has been submitted by the Elks. This is for a special event liquor license, and it's for two events. The first being the annual Beer and Brats event on February 21st, and on February 22nd, the Lost Dutchman Days Rodeo dance. You have comments in your packet from the Planning Division, Police Department, and Fire District, all of whom recommend approval. And Cindy is here in the event you have any questions.
Okay. Any more? Do some promotion, if nothing else.
Well, it is a great event. It's our best event of the year, and it all goes to a good cause. We're very happy to be able to put this on
And where is the rodeo dance held?
at the Elks Lodge.
At the Elks, okay. Any questions? Don't see any, so any further discussion? This is a public hearing. Would anybody like to address this issue? Hearing and seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a vote.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that the application for a special event liquor license submitted by the Elks BPOE number 2349 at 2455 North Apache Trail, Apache Junction, Arizona, for the annual Beer and Brats event and Lost Dutchman Rodeo Dance on February 21st, 2019, and February 22nd, 2019, be recommended for approval to the Arizona Department of Liquor License and Control.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Waldron,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzi,
Yes.
Councilmember Struble,
Yes.
Mayor Surtee,
Yes.
unanimous, Your Honor.
Presentation, discussion, public hearing, and consideration for proposed resolution 18-35 declaring as a public record that certain documents filed with the city clerk entitled 2018 Amendments to Apache Junction City Code, Volume 1, Chapter 9, Health and Sanitation. This will be the Larry and Dave show.
Mr. Mayor, the number 12 could also be done at the same time as a public hearing. There'll be 2 separate votes, however, it'd be 1 public hearing.
So number 12 is presentation discussion on ordinance number 1467. And this is the same, and penalties and providing, okay.
Just before Dave gets started here, Matt's going to pull up the short presentation. I just had a couple of quick comments if you allow me. The idea of neighborhood revitalization takes on many facets. So historically, the city has adopted redevelopment areas. You have a redevelopment area along the trail, along Meridian. The city uses CDBG and home funds to put in lights in a low-income neighborhood, to put in sidewalks, to put in curb and gutter. The city gets these home dollars from the federal government. We rehab 8 homes a year. The city formed a community development corporation. We have a couple members here tonight. Councilmember Evans talked about a neighborhood cleanup that's going on this weekend. The city staff started a strong sustainable communities initiative, and that was really the precursor. Now the CDC has taken over some of those neighborhood cleanup efforts, but the idea of giving some tools to neighborhoods to help clean up their neighborhood. The city has zoning regulations that we have to also kind of reinforce certain land use patterns that I think are part of revitalization efforts. We're going to be talking pretty soon about solid waste and how we handle solid waste. To me, code compliance, property maintenance is just one part of that overall strategy or facet of how you make neighborhoods more livable, how you make this a better community. I know a couple weeks ago we first introduced the idea of updating this. There was some comments about how the code was adopted in 2006. The council had the staff go start this in 2000, 2001. It took about 5 years. There was one council member that was part of that process, and I think I didn't want to make light of that, but that was not an easy process. It took 5 years to get the code we have. There was a lot of compromises along the way. Some folks, perhaps Mr. Waldron himself, would have liked a stronger code back then, but the code that we have today is a result of a public process. So as we evolved over the last 12 years, looked at the code, we did see some things that we think could improve how we do code enforcement. That's kind of why we're here today. I did run into Dennis Dixon at the Festival of the Superstitions. Dennis reminded me of the 5-year-long process to adopt the current code that we have. So we know that these things are not always easy, but in the long run, it took a lot of gumption, I think, for the council to adopt the current code. But after 10, 12 years, I think it's certainly ripe to relook at and to go ahead and look at a new code. So I wanted to make sure Councilmember Waldron knew that, you know, Dennis certainly appreciated working with you and having to make compromises along the way to at least get what we had on the books. Could have been stronger, but that's how sausage is made, as they say, with how legislation is done. But I do think that the city's now over 40,000 people, and as the community evolves, I think there's an expectation in the community, maybe by existing residents or future residents, that as cities evolve and change, that so does, you know, our commitment to improve the quality of life in our neighborhoods and community. So I do think that what we're doing here, hopefully tonight, is again have a public hearing, listen to some public. If these amendments get adopted, I do think is an overall improvement as part of a larger strategy to make a better quality of life for the city residents. So I had to do that little editorial before. I thank you for that, indulging me in that. Dave's going to go through just a very high level, not detail like you've seen before in the other presentations, but just there may be folks here that haven't seen any of this, so I just wanted to have Dave kind of give the broad overview. Thank you.
Mayor Surdy, Council, thank you for having us here and allowing us to bring this to you. So on January 17th, 2017, we received direction to staff to update Chapter 9 dealing with property maintenance issues, which were outdated, having been last amended January 3rd of 2006. Staff spent 6 months recommending improvements for effectiveness and clarity, adding and modifying definitions, retitling some sections, and revising the enforcement options. Staff worked to address concerns brought by citizens who have endured long-running property maintenance issues. Some of the highlights are change the focus from outside storage to maintaining property in a clean and safe and sanitary condition. Address storage of garbage for over 24 hours. Garbage must be kept in approved receptacle. Clarified inoperable vehicles and identified the type of vehicle maintenance that can be done outside of an approved structure. Addressed issues with building and site maintenance to reduce blight. Added state of Arizona provisions for addressing interior residential rental conditions in limited cases. Increased the civil penalties for first and second offenses to $350 and $650 respectively. Eliminated the third offense level, allowing a third violation in 24 months to be a criminal violation. And so development service staff, in particular the code enforcement officers who you saw at the first work session, are very appreciative of your support and input that we received, and request that you approve these 2018 amendments.
Any discussion with Dave or Larry? Okay, this is a public hearing. Joel, when I'm doing a public hearing, am I doing it on both motions now?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so public hearing, would anyone like to speak on these items or this process? And we'll need name and address.
Yes. James Dutchman, 461 West Apache Trail, number 418, Apache Junction, Arizona. I also have a business here in Apache Junction, a law office on 288 North Ironwood Drive. I've worked with Larry Kirsch and others, Commissioner Gail Evans, on the Community Development Corporation for Apache Junction for going on a year now, and expect to serve another couple of years. And it's a volunteer organization. I think Gail, before I arrived, probably discussed we're going to do a cleanup in the Clarence neighborhood this Saturday. We did one this last spring. I am strongly in favor of these code amendments. They're going to dovetail with what we're trying to do, and if they're not passed, I think it's going to undercut what we're trying to do as a voluntary organization of trying to beautify Apache Junction, increase the beauty of the neighborhoods and so forth, which we're trying to do on a voluntary basis. And without any code enforcement, we're trying to focus on people who have a difficulty doing it themselves. But for people who do have the funds and ability to do it themselves, but just choose not to do it, to create a blight and decrease in property values and so forth for their neighbors, I think is very unfair. And so I appreciate your time. Thank you.
And before you did arrive, we did thank your group and the volunteers. I mean, the time that you put into it, it's commendable. And you hate to see all this done and then have other neighbors screw it up. So,
yeah,
thank you. Would anyone else like to speak on this item?
Charles Beal, Lot 21, San Marcos Crossing. I came to you guys 12 weeks ago in regards to a property maintenance issue in the city, and it still exists today. So as I stand here, I have the Article 9 in relation to the property codes in front of me. I've looked at them, and I have to tell you right now, the process is flawed. It's been over a year now since I've been communicating with Larry in regards to the maintenance of that property. Now, when it comes to the general request for, changing the code, I don't think you can legislate everything, guys. I really don't. I think it's wrong. I know I stood up here about 14 weeks ago and watched John and Mary from Stagecoach Square over behind the fire station there off of Idaho, and stage 4 cancer, crippled. They came in front of you guys. They had a maintenance issue. They were looking for solutions. I don't think anybody really offered any, and they kind of went away without really bringing a closure to their problem. And I think if you're going to change the code, fix the problem. And that's what I truly think. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak?
Mayor Surdy, members of council, my name is Darch Oborn. I live at 2335 North Valley Drive. And my wife and I have owned that property for about 8 years, and we are excited and so pleased to be residents of this city. Thank you. And thank you very much for putting this ordinance change forward and directing the staff to propose these changes. I'm in favor of the changes, but I have two things that I'd like to see considered. One is about horses. We live on a horse property surrounded by other horse properties, and I think that 50 plus horses on a 2.5 acre property exceeds the limit. Now, luckily, we don't have wells here, because that certainly would exceed the limit. But I ask you to consider, perhaps in the next initiative, to put forward changes. Don't delay this one. Put forward some changes so that working with the horse community here, and there's that wonderful organization, the Apache Horsemen, Superstition Horsemen, that would, I'm sure, help you to define what is reasonable and what isn't reasonable. And secondly, I urge you to consider, if you are going to approve this ordinance, I urge you to consider doing it in the minimum mandated time of 90 days. Let's not wait until July. This is excellent what you and your staff have put forward. I urge you to approve it, and let's get on with it and make this community better, which I know we're all trying to do. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Would anyone else like to speak on this?
I'm a native of Arizona. I lived in Tempe for 25 years.
Can we get your name and
Kimberly Bridges. I live at 330 West Smoke Tree Street. As I said, I lived in Tempe, Arizona for 25 years, and they have really good, strong codes and enforcement in no time at all. Graffiti on the wall, it's either you're fined or they come in and paint it. We've just been here for a year now. We moved in Thanksgiving. We live next to a property that has got more problems than I encountered in 25 years in Tempe. You've got teeth in this, and I greatly appreciate that. And I also would like to see you start processing this and putting it into effect just as soon as possible. It would be nice to, this is going to be our retirement place, and it would be lovely to drive around and not see 18 buildings on a property falling apart and signs up where they shouldn't be. And just, I mean, I live next to a property that has no regard for the law at all. And I know that it's being addressed. But I would just thank you for thinking about it, starting the enforcement in a shorter period of time than July. Thanks.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, City Council, James Borchter, 1054 East Roosevelt. I think you all know me. You know I lived next to a property that was probably the worst one in Apache Junction. You finally took it over. I thank you for that. I think these rules are good, but they need to be enforced. The problem we have now is non-enforcement. You don't have enough people, you don't have enough teeth in your laws, and you just need to enforce them. I've worked with Larry. He's a good guy. I hope you approve these and make them even stronger. Thank you.
Someone else in the back?
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, my name is Jim Duncan. I live at 2745 East Smoke Tree Street, opposite side of the individual who is up here on the west. And I am thoroughly in support, along with my neighbors, of these amendments that are being presented by your staff. I think they've done an excellent job. I think they've done a lot of research. I've followed all the meetings, and I think it's moving the city forward. And thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, and I'll go first and ask Bryant or Larry concerning Mr. Beal's concerns. How are they being addressed, and what can we do about that?
Well, the one item was the folks over on Stetson and 16th Avenue behind the fire station. The city C team and the prisoners team went over there and cleaned up that whole thing. And I was over there last week, met the folks. Folks have started doing their own plantings. So we didn't want to start the precedent of the city maintaining all this private property. So the city went in, cleaned it up. Now the homeowners, their obligation, they're already starting to buy plants. In terms of San Marcos Crossing, that is a somewhat complicated case, but we do have enforcement tools. That is a case where long-standing issue with a developer developing the property, not turning the HOA land exactly over to the HOA, unpaid taxes, tax liens, or tax certificates. So it's quite complicated. The city has been trying to negotiate with the new owner who bought essentially a retention basin at the sheriff's sale and a tot lot, with the current HOA, the HOA board, and now a third party bought some tax liens. So we're trying to work through that. An option is for the city to go in and clean it up, which doesn't exactly get approval from, we're not supposed to give gifts out to folks, but we're trying to negotiate that. We do have the way to write up essentially, I think, 6 of the neighbors and the HOA board and the current owner who bought the property. So that is an enforcement tool. We were trying to negotiate it before we kind of drop the hammer on enforcement, because then it's going to be, well, everybody gets a letter, then go figure it out, and then we'll see everybody in municipal court. But that's what we're trying to do, is negotiate that, hopefully getting the HOA board and the person that bought the retention basin to negotiate a price of purchase. But ultimately, I think we do have the ability to essentially write enforcement letters on all 3 of the parties. So it's not happening very quick, and actually it looks terrible. Tree falling over. If you go by right across from the school over there, it looks terrible. So we do want to, but you know, we're kind of, time is running out. I think the HOA board is really sitting where they're really the ones that need to take action. But yes, we can, right.
So we're really at the point of enforcement, and like Larry said, we've made some great progress. The expectation of the owners and what they thought the value of that land was and what the HOA is at was far apart. Now they're getting closer. If we can make some magic happen, Larry's been doing a great job. There could be a point in which we could turn this over and get this cleaned
Right,
up.
there seems to be concern that we're understaffed in this department when the council or future councils approve budgets. Could you use more personnel in this department, or do you want to go into it with what you have now?
Certainly there is always been demand for co-compliance enforcement in this community. I remember back in 08, 09 when we went through the recession, and one of the areas when we looked at in terms of this department, this was the one area we did not reduce number of folks able to provide services to the community. It was in the division. We worked some job sharing. I don't disagree with the idea and thought that if you're going to enforce it, you're going to need enforcement folks. We added one more co-compliance officer this last fiscal year in your budget, and as we move forward, looking at revenues to expenses and the ability to be able to have that capacity, would love to work with you on that in this next coming year, and then we can take a look at that, Larry. I don't know, we haven't had a chance to really look at that. I don't disagree with the comments from the public that another person would help.
Well, this is the public's money that we're talking about, and I don't think many people would disagree if we did spend more on this department, so.
One of the areas, Your Honor, we're looking at that we've talked about over the years, even when Dennis was here, is we have probably 20 or 30 or more of these mobile home parks, RV parks, that we almost could spend a lot of time in those where they're, you know, just to improve the quality of life for some of the residents, but some of the stuff that we see, like happened next to Mr. Boerichter, we see that actually in some of these parks. You can go look at a few of these, and that would be like a whole new realm the city's never gotten involved in, is going into the parks, being firm but fair, but quite frankly, some of these places really need some strong code enforcement. So, not all of them, a lot of the parks are great, but like I said, there's probably 20 or 30 that we could focus on, and I think that's an area of concentration we've talked about as well.
Any more discussion? Chip, do you want to address horses or horse numbers?
Well, I'm going to need to do a little investigation onto what he's talking about, because I pulled it up on the map and I see where his place is located at, so I need to figure out where these horses are. He's talked about the 50 horses. And yes, 50 horses on 2.5 acres is a tremendous number, and it is a lot of cleanup activities that need to go ongoing. So I'm going to do a little investigation myself on that.
Your Honor.
Yes.
2 questions. One on what you hit on as far as an additional code officer. I'd also like to see our code department 5 days a week and not 4 days a week, because so many people do wait for Friday to do something and have it built and done and
Perhaps even
over.
stagger somebody over the weekend too, like
Absolutely. My second thought is, would staff be able to do enough advertisement, get the word out about these code changes in the 90-day time frame versus the 6-month time frame?
Yes, we've begun working on kind of a plan for reaching out. Excuse me. I think one of the things to keep in mind is, even if this changes, it's going to take us a while to even process and address the cases. And in most cases, we work with people anyway. Even now, we're giving them 30 days, you know, that kind of thing. So we understand that we can't just go out tomorrow and have everybody have their engines back in their cars and all that stuff. So we know we're going to be working through some of that. So we do have a plan to send the changes with letters we're doing now that'll still be under the old code, you know, because a lot of this is people, you know, we're dealing with these people over and over, so we can kind of let them know, hey, this is a change that's coming. And then we're going to work with Al Bravo and some other things to try to, you know, just raise that awareness.
So you think the 90 days is a doable time frame?
Yes, yes.
You know, and just thinking about some of the neighbors that are living next to some of these nightmares, I'd like to have it cleaned up sooner, not wait until then. I mean, like you said, you've been notifying everybody. So I don't know how anybody else feels about the 90 days versus the 6 months.
I would agree. I would concur.
Okay.
The only question I have is the aspect is are you talking about citywide going out on I'm going to say, enforcement in this 90 days to issue notices so people know that
There's changes coming.
there's changes coming?
Well, yeah, that's what they
At
said.
the first work session, you folks talked about starting at July 1st, so that's how the ordinance was written up. Sounds like the public would like to move it sooner. We're capable of certainly educating the public, getting the word out, you know, getting some letters in the newspaper, but also working with current cases, letting them know that, you know, these rules will go in effect whatever date you decide, but we're certainly ready to do that March 1st. I think we can do a lot of public outreach in the next 90 days.
Anyone else?
Your Honor, just a comment. Interesting you were talking to Dennis Dixon, because when we went through this process, we started with a blank sheet of paper and built it from there, and we always said during the process that it would be a work in progress as we went along. And over the years, you find the good points and the bad points, and you make refinements to it. So I think you guys have done an excellent job identifying those and addressing them in here, and it just strengthens what we started with, way back when. Didn't seem like it was that long ago, but apparently it was. So, you know, that's what it was designed to do, to be a work in progress, and it needs to be updated periodically, and I think you guys have identified the problem. So.
Okay. Any more discussion before we move on? Okay, Joel, this will still be two separate motions, however, correct?
Yes, and if there is,
That's Scrivener's,
did you mention it?
No, I will.
Why don't you mention that first, and then I want to say something after he.
There is a
mentions.
whereas clause that says January 4th. We do need to say that to be January 17th, so that's our mistake. That was when you gave us direction to staff. It's January 17th, 2017? 2017. So it's in one of the whereas clauses, so if there's a motion, I think you can add that.
Also, if you're going to change the effective date on ordinance 1467, your motion should state that section 4 be amended, whatever date you want. Right now, it says July 1st, 2019.
Okay. If everybody has that, then I will ask for a motion on the first item. Robin, are you on the phone?
Okay, so
She always has her notes.
I know, it's like,
Your Honor?
Yes.
I move that resolution number 1835, declaring as a public record that certain document filed with the city clerk entitled 2018 Amendments to the Apache Junction City Code Volume 1, Chapter 9, Health and Sanitation be approved.
second.
Roll call.
Vice Mayor Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Struble,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldron,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzi,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes,
Mayor Surtee,
Yes.
unanimous, Your Honor.
We have a motion on the next
Actually,
item.
This next one, you have two motions. The first one is to read, for me to read the ordinance by title only. And if you don't pass that, then I have to read these, I don't know how many pages of the attachments there are here. 25 pages of attachments. So that's your first motion, and then your second motion would be on the ordinance itself. And if you want to change the date, that's your chance to change the date.
Do we have a title-only motion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that ordinance numbers 1467 be read by title only, and the reading of the entire ordinance be waived.
second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Waldron,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes,
Councilmember Rizzi.
Yes.
Councilmember Struble.
Yes.
Mayor Surtee.
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor. Ordinance number 1467, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Apache Junction, Arizona, adopting by reference that certain document entitled 2018 Amendments to Apache Junction City Code Volume 1, Chapter 9, Health and Sanitation, repealing any conflicting provisions, providing for severability, providing for an effective date, and providing for penalties.
We have a motion.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I move that ordinance number 1467, as read by the city clerk, be approved. Be approved.
But we had an amendment.
We need amendments. The dates, the,
Oh,
Chip,
yeah.
can I amend your motion?
okay, you can amend it.
With that it be approved and adopted with the following changes, that under the sixth whereas statement, that Scrivener error be changed to reflect 2017, and that under section 4, the effective date be April 1st, 2019.
Second.
You meant January 17 instead of 2?
Yeah, 2017.
You mean,
28.
is that the fifth whereas clause?
Is it the fifth one?
No, it's
I thought it was the fourth.
Okay.
January 17th, 2017, correct?
That's
Okay.
what it should be?
That's what it should be.
Okay.
Yes.
And
What was your other one? I think you had
The
another one.
effective date, section 4,
April 1st.
When's the effective date?
April 1st.
if that is a proper motion, I'll ask for a second.
second.
Roll call.
This is on the amendment, but we never did get a second on the first one. So,
I thought,
Oh,
I thought you would second that.
okay.
oh, I made the motion.
Oh,
Well, you can, with-
because he amended the motion.
Yes.
So this
So I
is on the,
Still need a second for mine.
Second.
Roll call.
this is on the amendment.
The amended by Councilmember
That's correct.
Waldron's? Okay.
Correct. This is
All
on
right.
the amendment. Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzi.
This is on the amendment or the original motion?
This is on the amendment.
Okay, yes.
Councilmember Waldron.
Yes.
Councilmember Struble.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Mayor Surtee.
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor. Now, the original motion.
Yes, and there's already been a motion on that, or not?
Yeah.
Yes. Roll call.
What do we, okay, time
Now,
out.
now it's on mine.
This is on the original motion, which was amended by Councilmember Waldron, which you just voted on to approve the amendment. So if you wanted to be consistent, you would all vote no on this one.
That's what I was just going to ask. Okay.
Councilmember Waldron,
No.
Vice Mayor Wilson.
Vote no on my own?
Actually, I think he has to vote yes on his
Yeah.
own motion.
Yeah, okay.
Because
I'll
he's a
vote
moving
yes.
party.
Okay. Councilmember Evans,
No.
Councilmember Rizzi,
No.
Councilmember Struble,
So if I wanted to make Councilmember Wilson not feel alone,
Come on, someone else vote yes.
I'll vote no.
Mayor Surtee.
No.
One in favor, 5 opposed. The motion failed, Your Honor.
Lonely bastard out here, huh?
So that is it on these items? Okay. Presentation, discussion, public hearing on ordinance 1465, Class 3 permit holders.
Actually, Mr. Mayor,
Captain Freeman.
I think you meant, you're on number 13, and I think you meant 1464. And these are 3 items that are related. Number 14 and 15, they go together as one public hearing. Number 13 is a separate section of the code, so that should have a separate public hearing. So for number 13, that should be a separate public hearing. Then for 14 and 15, you can do also one public hearing for those 2 items.
So we're going to do 13 now.
Yep.
Okay. Present.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council, city staff, and fellow citizens. Arnold Freeman, AJPD. I'd like to begin tonight by thanking my wife, who married me 36 years ago today. I know.
Congratulations.
You're in trouble.
I know most of you are still wondering why, but that's another story. In July, you directed staff to look at the Chapter 4 and Chapter 6 animal ordinance and the fees. Monday, 2 weeks ago, at a work session, I presented you with the changes that staff had looked at and recommended. We worked with the city attorney's office to get this taken care of for you. There are no fee increases. The suggested revision highlights include 6-1-3, which allows the city manager to convene a panel of city residents for a civil hearing in lieu of a citation for animal noise nuisance. 6-1-8 eliminates the Class 3 kennel permit, which allows 9 to 12 dogs to be kept in accordance with other provisions of Chapter 6. 6-2-3 allows alternative owner notification of animals impounded during the arrest of owner and provides for abandonment determination. 6-5-2 allows for the city to recover cost of animal care of animals found in motor vehicles where owner is not present. 6-7-1 eliminates the licensing and fees for pot-bellied pigs. 6-7-4 clarifies jurisdiction and quarantine of pot-bellied pigs, pot-bellied pig bites. 6-8-2, 3, 4, and 5 eliminates the terminal or market project language. 6-9-2 adds clarification and terminology to criminal filings and penalties. In addition, there are minor grammar and terminology changes throughout Chapter 6 and changes to Chapter 4 fees, eliminating licensing and registration of pot-bellied pigs.
Any questions?
Country singer, right?
Mr. Mayor, if I could just ask.
Yes.
With regard to Chapter 4, Because you had the other items too in there.
Yes,
so-
sir.
So what exactly on Chapter 4 are we doing?
We are just eliminating the Class 3 kennel permit fee because there will no longer be issued Class 3 kennel permits.
You'll have to go through it again on the other items.
Okay.
Just to let you know.
Okay, I see no questions. This is a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak on this item? Hearing and seeing none, I'll close the public hearing.
I do have a question for the city attorney. I believe the expectation was that this ordinance would have been adopted sooner. Today is December 4th. The Section 5 says the effective date would be January 1st, which is less than 30 days, and I don't believe we can do that.
Well, I think you can do that with, if you have an emergency clause, you could make it sooner.
There's no emergency clause in this?
There is no emergency clause, so I would agree with the city clerk that you may want to do a motion that changes that date to whatever you want, but it has to be at least 30 days.
January 5th would be
Yeah.
the 30-day mark.
And I think the other ordinance too, so.
Captain, any issues with that?
No.
Yeah.
What day was that, Kathleen?
January 5th?
Okay, I've closed the public hearing. Any more discussion? I'll ask for a motion and be mindful of those dates.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move ordinance number 1464 be read by title only and reading of the entire ordinance be waived.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Waldron?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Struble?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzi?
Yes.
Mayor Surtee?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor. Ordinance number 1464, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Apache Junction, Arizona, amending Apache Junction City Code, Volume 1, Chapter 4, Fees, Article 4-3, Animal Control Fee Schedule, repealing any conflicting provisions, providing for severability, preservation of rights for current Class 3 permit holders, and establishing an effective date.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that ordinance number 1464 is read by the city clerk, be approved and adopted with the following amendments, that the effective date in section 5 be changed to January 5th, 2019.
Second.
Roll call.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Councilmember Struble?
Yes.
Councilmember Waldron?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzi?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Mayor Surtee?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
So that completes item 13. On to number 14, Captain Freeman.
Well,
14 and 15.
14 and 15 can be
14 and
done
15, yes.
together. I mean, you already kind of read what the changes were, but you might want to remind the council what the changes are in Chapter 6.
Okay.
And also the effective date. That also currently, oops. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I think that says January 1st also. It does, so that would have to be amended also for January 5th.
Okay.
That's Section 5.
So, yes.
Okay. The suggested revisions for Chapter 6 will allow the city manager to convene a panel of city residents for a civil hearing in lieu of a citation for animal noise nuisance. 6-1-8 eliminates the Class 3 kennel permit, which allows 9 to 12 dogs to be kept in accordance with other provisions of Chapter 6. We do currently have a couple of Class 3 kennel permit holders that will be grandfathered in. 6-2-3 allows alternative owner notification of animals impounded during the arrest of owner and provides for abandonment determination. 6-5-2 allows for the city to recover costs of animal care of animals found in motor vehicles where owner is not present. 6-7-1 eliminates the licensing and fees for pot-bellied pigs. 6-7-4 clarifies jurisdiction and quarantine of pot-bellied pig bites. 6-8-2, 3, 4, and 5 eliminates terminal or market project language. 6-9-2 adds clarifications and terminology to the criminal filings and penalties. In addition, there are minor grammar and terminology changes throughout Chapter 6 and changes to the Chapter 4 fees, eliminating licensing and registration of pot-bellied pigs.
There will be a test.
Yes, ma'am. Any questions?
Don't see any. This is a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak on these two items? Hearing and seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any further discussion? Then I'm ready to ask for motions.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I move that resolution number 18-34 declaring as a public record that certain documents filed with the city clerk and entitled to 2018 amendments to the Apache Junction City Code, Volume 1, Chapter 6, Animals, and is this where I need to make the amendment?
Yeah.
Animals be approved.
Second.
Roll call.
Vice Mayor Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Struble,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldron,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzi,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Mayor Surtee,
Yes.
unanimous, Your Honor.
And the next motion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that ordinance number 1465 be read by title only and the reading of the entire ordinance be waived.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Waldron,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzi,
Yes.
Councilmember Struble,
Yes.
Mayor Surtee,
Yes.
unanimous, Your Honor. Ordinance number 1465, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Apache Junction, Arizona, amending Apache Junction City Code Volume 1 by repealing Chapter 6 Animals in its entirety and adopting by reference a new Chapter 6 Animals, repealing any conflicting provisions, providing for severability, providing for penalties, and establishing an effective date.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that ordinance number 1465 is read by the city clerk be approved with the following amendments. The effective date in Section 5 be changed to January 5th, 2019.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Rizzi,
Was the motion, did he ask to have it approved?
yes, with the
Okay.
change in the effective date.
Okay, got it. Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Struble,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldron,
Yes.
Mayor Surtee,
Yes.
unanimous, Your Honor.
And that finishes both of those, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Presentation, discussion, and possible council direction to staff on public art. Janine and Heather?
Your Honor, I will kick it off as Heather comes up. About a month ago, we had a presentation completed by Janine and Heather, who introduced Diane Kripe from Art Space 6, who talked a little bit about the general efforts that we've been making. Our community has been exploring creative ways to incorporate elements of art into our community. And over the years, we've seen all kinds of different art come in to the community. And so tonight, you all have asked us to come forward with some thoughts and ideas on what maybe the next steps could be, and we are seeking direction from you tonight on what those possible next steps could be. I'd like to turn it over to Heather to discuss it.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. This evening presentation is just to further discuss public art in our community, and I just wanted, I guess, to do an overview here. Art in a community can be public art. It can be our existing art program where we have artists display their work here in City Hall. We can have different programming activities that Parks and Rec already does, that the library holds. And then performing arts, which we heard earlier about the great offerings over at the school district, and then we have the Zao Theater. And then just different shows and events that we can have in a community. Those are just different types of art. Public art, you'll notice I have highlighted here, very key words. These are directly from our mission and our vision, so you can see how public art does relate back to what we have determined as our mission and vision in the community. Public art is an investment. It does provide a quality of life, and there takes a lot of planning with this. It does represent our community. It does show off our beautiful natural environment. And you can read all of the good things here, but it does engage the community. And we have talked about public art for some time, and it was definitely identified within our DRIS, or our Downtown Revitalization and Implementation Strategy, that was done back in 2010 as a way to reinforce a sense of place in our community. Public art is also something that is one of a kind to us, and it does display excellence in artistic excellence that will reflect in our community. So how can we move forward with public art? Well, the first thing that we could do is establish some sort of authority on that. We also want to make sure that we identify what is a program going to look like, different funding mechanisms, and creating some ordinances and policies that help framework this public art in our community. So there are 3 different ways or types of authority that we could look at. First would be a council subcommittee, which would be made up of 3 council members, and it would be a motion done by the council, limited authority on what that group can do. Of course, they would have to follow all open meeting laws. Then another option would be a city manager appointed group, which is a motion by the council. This group would only make recommendations to the city manager, and they would absolutely have no authority on the program. A final option would be a public arts commission. A commission would have to follow open meeting laws. It would have to be an ordinance that is amending our city code. There are certain things that would have to be identified in the code about this commission, and we would have to identify what is the extent of their authority. And then, of course, we'd have to have a public hearing, very similar to what we've just got done doing. So what are other communities doing in Arizona? Throughout Arizona, there are 39 different local arts agencies. 20 of them are nonprofits, 11 are commissions, 4 are just people, staff, 3 are committees, and there's 1 foundation. So in other communities that we look to as comparable communities, the majority of them are doing commissions. Funding mechanisms, we see a lot with public and private collaborations. We see in our ordinances that percentages of, like if we're going to do a street project, a capital improvement project, that there's money set aside within that project to do a public art project. Sales tax revenue, hotel tax, some percentage set aside for those to go towards public art. Of course, setting aside money in the general fund is an option. And some time back, we had presented and talked about what Oro Valley does, where whenever a development is being done, we require that they put art in their project, or if they don't do that, then they can provide a certain dollar amount that will go to art somewhere else in the community. So there's various ways that this can fund a program. And then, of course, grants. So our steps, basically what we're wanting to do is get direction to staff on what are we going to do next in public art. Our recommendation is that we establish an arts commission to focus solely on public arts projects. We would like to hire a consultant to assist us with establishing that commission, but most importantly, writing the ordinances that we would use to essentially fund the program. Other things that a consultant would be able to help us with is developing programs or some master plans, but primarily the ordinance aspect and creating this commission is what we're hoping to get done. And so again,
Krista has a question,
yes.
if you can interrupt.
How would we fund a consultant?
Right now, we do have the consultant that we've identified is very low cost, and in our economic development budget, we do have some consultant monies still available, so we would be able to use that.
And for scope, we're talking a few $1,000s that are in the budget.
Like
to do this.
5,000 max. It's a great price.
Thank you.
Had you finished?
Yes.
Okay, so you said a lot there. My discussion is going to be that getting the right people onto this commission is going to be so important. I mean, a lot of people, they just want on boards because they're bored and they want something to do. I might like to do that, you know. That's the wrong. You've got to have some people with passion and interest in what we're talking about here. So, and this would be Bryant putting this together? This
Not
would be
this, no, what we're recommending is a very similar model to what you're used to, which is the boards and commissions process. We go through the process for interviews, go through the process of selecting. We would then go through the same effort that we do for those committees, or though, I'm not gonna call them a committee because they're not. They're a commission set aside in code. And this, I've been saying, this is like a domino,
Okay.
and this is the first step in it.
I would like to then recommend that we open it up to out-of-the-city residents, because a lot of the artistic people are up against the mountain and in Gold Canyon. So if this would be a board where residency would not be a
requirement.
I think that would be very helpful.
So this is very helpful, and we would pass this along to the
consultant.
consultant to set that governance up. This is that very first
Yeah.
step, so thank you, yep.
Anyone else?
Can you go back to the slide that just represents what the commission does? Just so everybody understands what you
Yeah,
guys are
this'll
asking
help.
for.
This is what we're talking
No, I agree. I think the commission idea is a good idea, and I would certainly support moving forward with a commission.
Yeah, it doesn't obligate yet any ordinances that you'll get to, that would come with this. Funding mechanisms, it's not that yet. This is just the first step in creating that authority. Big step, because we've been, talking about it, but,
A few years ago, when we talked about this, we kind of turned it over to a couple of our local art groups, and nothing happened. And I think the only way that it is going to have something happen is if we establish a commission here ourselves. I think it's the only way to go.
Anyone else? So we're doing a motion tonight on a recommendation, correct? This is directed to staff?
that is correct, Mayor. It
Okay.
would be
And
direction
so
of
are we
staff.
making, just so I understand, are we making a motion to spend the $5,000?
It's in the budget already. That's not necessarily what we're looking for. We just need, and from my standpoint, Heather, you can add, but we just need a motion to establish a public arts commission.
Public art.
That gets us going, yeah.
Okay.
Get the ball rolling.
But in order to do that, we have to go through the process of writing the ordinances and everything, correct?
Correct.
Well, he
And-
does.
But I need the direction first to go do that. We'll be working together as a team to do that, yes, in conjunction with Heather and me and staff as we work with the consultant to help establish all the pieces that will help governance of it.
And it's in the budget, the $5,000 is in the budget already to do this.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay, I'm just making sure we're all
Yeah.
understanding what we're
Yep.
doing here.
Okay. If anyone comfortable to make that motion?
Your Honor, I move that the following direction be given to staff regarding a public arts and establishment of a public art commission to focus on public arts projects.
Second.
Roll call.
Vice Mayor Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Struble,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldron,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzi,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Mayor Surtee,
Yes.
unanimous, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Super
Okay.
excited.
I want to commend Bryant and his staff on what we're going to do next. You'll notice we did not have a work session yesterday. We've rolled them together, and we're actually doing a work session item tonight. And that saves on staff time, and it saves the city money. So I think we should look forward to, or look into doing this whenever we can. So discussion and possible council direction to staff on filling the upcoming P&Z Commission vacancy. Bryant.
Your Honor, thank you, Bryant Powell, City Manager. This item was placed on the agenda tonight for your discussion, for staff to know what exactly, how you want to advertise. We will have a vacancy coming up. Exact date, I think, is January
15.
Correct, 15th, and we need your understanding of how and when to start that process, and when to interview, and all that goes with that. So we seek direction tonight on that process.
So we need someone seated by the 15th, or would we be choosing someone on the 15th?
Kathy, maybe you can help on,
Yeah, the
on
vacancy won't exist legally until the 15th.
Okay.
So
And
Further in the month.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
And also Kathy, that position, that particular one, I can't see you now that your scanner's higher. That ends in October of 2019, correct?
I believe, I don't have my commission list with me, but I believe that's correct.
Yeah, I think it does. So it's a,
Not for a full term.
yeah, it's a limited time. It's for the remainder term of the incoming council member.
Your Honor.
Yes.
What have we done, Kathy or Joe, in the past when someone has resigned for whatever reason? How did we proceed when that happened?
I don't believe we've had this particular situation before.
On this board or on any board?
So like the sewer, Kathy, maybe is a good example where we've had some situations where you've asked us to go out and recruit. We could put an advertisement, use our website like we've done with others, and then just need timeframes of when to start that.
So just our normal
A normal
process.
from my
You just
standpoint, I
wanna
think.
know when.
When, that's it, yeah.
Okay.
That we've done with, yeah.
So if we went out in January, because that's when it would become legally vacant?
So the MLK holiday, we don't have a meeting that day. But what's the date what's the Tuesday date?
Actually, the MLK holiday, I think, is the following week, the 21st.
It's not on our normal.
Yeah, that's 21st, that's right.
21st, yeah.
So 14th and 15th, so our first Tuesday in January is New Year's Day, the 1st. So no meeting that night, and then we'll be doing the transition on the 14th, or the 15th. And then our next meeting, I understand, would be February 4th and 5th.
So that'll be the soonest then.
The soonest that you
vote.
could vote on it, yeah.
So
So
if
we
we
can-
just do it that way, it's fine.
We could have the hearings on February 4th and then the vote on February 5th, or whatever that.
That's your wish.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So
We need a motion for
we
that?
need a motion tonight?
Yeah, and what about, Joel, any thoughts on just, so when to do the interviews, when to do the selection, the 4th and 5th, that we got that, should we start, is there anything against having them give us direction on starting advertising now?
No, direction to staff would be for, if you wanted to start it now, that's fine. That should give plenty of time so that you can do interviews on the 4th, and you could actually have a public vote on the 5th for a selection of that appointment.
Okay. I'll ask for a motion.
Your Honor?
Go ahead.
I move that the following direction be given to staff in the process for filling for the upcoming vacancy on the Planning and Zoning Commission, that we go out for the general information that's available basically starting now, and that we have the hearing on the 4th of February, and or interview on the 4th February, and the voting on the 5th of February.
Second?
Roll call?
Councilmember Waldron,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzi,
Yes.
Councilmember Struble,
Yes.
Mayor Surtee,
Yes.
unanimous, Your Honor.
We have a motion on upcoming meetings.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that an executive session at 6 PM and a work session at 7 PM be held on Monday, December 17th in the City Council Conference Room and City Council Chambers located at 300 East Superstition Boulevard, Apache Junction, Arizona, respectfully.
Second.
Roll call?
Respectively.
Vice Mayor Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Struble,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldron,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzi,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Mayor Surtee,
Yes.
unanimous, Your Honor.
And the other meeting?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move an executive session at 6 PM and work session at 7 PM be held on Tuesday, December 18th, 2018, in the City Council Conference Room and City Council Chambers located 300 East Superstition Boulevard, Apache Junction, Arizona, respectively.
Second?
Roll call?
Vice Mayor Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Struble,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldron,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzi,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Mayor Surtee,
Yes.
unanimous, Your Honor.
This is the time for the public to express requests, communications, comments, and suggestions. Each speaker must have already filled out a request to speak form and handed it to the city clerk before the end of the city manager's report. All issues shall be presented in a professional manner without personal attacks. Under the open meeting law, council cannot engage in discussion on the issues presented, but may respond to criticism and may direct staff to follow up with the speaker directly or place this matter on a future agenda. There's a 3-minute time limit for each speaker. I have two. Mr. Beal, did you get everything said, or do you have more to go? No, I'd like to add to that. Okay.
Charles Beal, Lot 21, San Marcos Crossing. Well, I appreciate all the hard work and dedication that the council presents to the city, and I'd like to thank you for it, as well as Larry and Bryant's work that they've done on this problem with me so far. But I think one of the things that happen as we go through this process and why it's taken so long is because we're trying to apply an obscure paragraph out of a plot plan by some engineer that was submitted back in 2004, and we're not applying the code today as it stands from the City Council of 2006. So in 2006, the code says whoever owns the property needs to clean it up. I think it's pretty cut and dried from my perspective. If the legal counsel here has a different position, I'd like to see that in writing. We have a homeowners association on the 16th of January. I'd sure like to have this problem solved before then. So if this opportunity exists where I can get council's opinion, written opinion, I would like to see that. And maybe that helps bring closure or maybe helps speed the process a little bit. So that's what I'd have to say. Thank you.
Gary Moody.
Your Honor and council members, I'm here tonight. I'm concerned about the safety of our streets. I have a blind brother and I have a disability. And where I live, they blow through the stop signs, 12th Avenue and South Palo Verde Drive. School buses, young teenagers, they whip through that zone there. It's 25. Everybody thinks it's 50 or 65. They're on Highway 60. I went to the police department several times. Our police department is not really very much cooperative at all. As a matter of fact, my opinion is they are not capable of being a police force. I've complained several times and nothing is done. I asked if they could have somebody on third shift to sit there and watch the young guys go through there, 60 miles an hour, squealing the tires. Not one cop sits there at all. Matter of fact, end of the weekend, I live also in a school district. It's 35, and when you get to the school, it's 15. The kids go through there 50 miles an hour. A cop was at the stop sign, never stopped the young guy at all. So our police department is not doing their job. As far as I'm concerned, you might as well just eliminate the police department and save a lot of money because they're not doing their job at all. My brother was walking one day and he heard the one on Broadway turning into South Palo Verde Drive, and he was close to the stop sign. He got to the stop sign and he grabbed a hold of it because he wanted to be safe. He said that guy never even stopped for the stop sign. He whizzed right straight by. He says, I raised my cane so he could see I'm a blind person, wait. And he didn't even stop until he got down to the end of 16th Avenue. So our police department is not doing their job. Thank you very much for listening to me. I suggest putting speed bumps in there. I understand we can't put speed bumps in there, but if you go to Mesa, and like the community where I live in, they have speed bumps in there. So I don't know why we can't have speed bumps to slow them down. You even got school buses with children on there going through the stop sign.
Kathy, did you get an
Thank you.
address?
It's on the form you have.
Thank you very
Okay.
much for listening to me.
All right, anyone want to care to respond?
Can
Brian?
you look into this?
Yeah, I would say if he's not getting the answers from the PD, could someone from upper management contact him and see what the situation is there?
Find out where it's happening.
Yeah. All right, with that being said, we will be adjourned.